I guess the reason I'm a fireman is I like to help people on this, and then some people like to play golf, and I just like to fight fire. It's the way I relax.
I believe that every individual in his lifetime should do something to benefit someone else in the community. And this is, with my training after hours, my regular working day, I believe I can best suit the community by doing this.
Actually, I'm a fire investigator full-time for the state of Maryland, and by keeping active in the volunteer service, it helps keep me abreast of the changes in fire technology.
There's really nothing quite like the thrill of that you can imagine in your stomach when the siren goes off and you know that you have to respond and that somebody is either in danger or you have life or property to save. The feeling that you get is you just can't describe it.
In Maryland, more than 20,000 men from all walks of life keep at least one ear tuned for a sound that will propel them into action. That sound is the alarm calling volunteer firemen to their stations. Last year in Baltimore County alone, it sounded more than 7,000 times, and it was answered each time by a group of divergent individuals who are similar only in that they share a love for their communities as well as a love for excitement and the thrill of being near or part of action and possible danger. Whatever their deeper motivations, the thousands of Maryland volunteer firemen are a rare breed in today's world. In an era of skyrocketing governmental budgets, these men actually help to reduce taxes. In an age when more and more people have turned to second jobs as a means of earning additional income, these men put in long hours without pay. In an era of non-involvement, these men are totally involved in protecting complete strangers from economic loss and possible danger. In an age when few men step forward to accept responsibility unless it is absolutely necessary, these men are the volunteers. Cooperation was not always the watchword in dealing with fires of the past. 150 years ago, there was no efficient central alarm system, and the fire might be noticed first as an unusual glow on the horizon. From that point on, it often became a foot race or actual fight between rival companies for the honor of arriving first at the scene. The populace, of course, was delighted at all the action. Campanile Tower Firehouse of Baltimore City Fire Company No. 6 was built in 1853 and has been in continuous use ever since. From 1819 to 1859, the Gay and Inser Street spot was the home of the Independent Volunteer Fire Company, one of several dozen freelance groups that grew up in Baltimore starting in 1763. After 1859, the house became part of the paid fire department. The tower, a copy of the clock tower of Florence, Italy, is a wedge-shaped structure made of concrete and brick. It was supposed to be torn down in 1960, but then Mayor McKeldin vowed that it would remain standing as long as he was in office. McKeldin went out of office in 1967, but the tower has not yet felt the wrecker's ball. It is the present home of Engine Company No. 6, and the only existing structure built to house the old volunteer fire system in Baltimore City. Today, the methods of reporting and firefighting have changed. This February 1969 fire, for example, aided by a brisk wind, might have crippled an entire city a century ago. Instead, it was held in check by the combined efforts of paid fire companies from Baltimore City, working with both paid and volunteer companies from the county. Without professional skill and cooperation, the job simply could not have been done. The modern cooperative effort begins when a fire is reported and an alarm sent to nearby units. In Baltimore County, a central alarm system is located at Towson and connects the 31 volunteer units and 16 paid companies. This headquarters is professionally manned, but every service is extended to the volunteer companies, which range as far north as the Pennsylvania line.
Yes, sir. Right.
Headquarters alerting Towson, Lutherville, Hillendale, and Battalion 1.
You send the fire prevention man here, and the Phil and Brooklynville station will be here a while.
Okay, Engine 14, you're requesting a fire prevention man and fill in your station.
Harford County, on the other hand, has no paid companies at all. The entire county is served by 9 volunteer units with a central alarm headquarters near Bel Air. The rural nature of the county, however, does not lessen the need for efficiency in dispatching men and equipment to the crisis area.
Whereabouts? And what is it?
Trap Church Road.
What? Trap Church Road.
Trap Church Road. Reed Rainer's house.
Okay, how far in off of 136 is that?
Just down below, we know what Trap Church Road is, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
It's just down below Nobles Mill Road. The turn off, you come on down the road, and you can see it from the top of the hill.
Okay, we go past Nobles Mill Road, and it'll be on the left, right? Okay, and what's your name?
I'm just the neighbor, Mrs. Griffith.
Mrs. Griffith.
Yes, her house, her and the whole attic.
Okay, and what's your phone? What's phone number? What's phone number? What's phone number?
734-6134.
6134. Okay, madam, get him out there. Bye-bye. A house for Trap Church Road near Nobles Mill Road, Station 1 level, tanker this, 1057.
In cities, most large fires are reported in 4-inch headlines, but in rural areas such as Harford County, the burning of a 100-year-old barn may pass unnoticed except by those neighbors in the immediate vicinity. Often because of the distance from fire company station to fire, a rural blaze may have more time to get out of control. When this happens, the firefighter becomes most concerned with how to keep the fire from spreading. The possible presence of gasoline stored for tractors and sparks increases the danger that there may be a sudden explosion or appearance of smaller fires nearby. To onlookers, the fire may seem spectacular, but it is under control. Yet many hours will pass before it is safe for the volunteer to return home. Only a small portion of volunteers' time is spent in the actual fighting of fires or performing rescue operations. Much time is spent in learning the skill of being a fireman, since few volunteers have the necessary background to operate the equipment and machinery of modern firefighting. A minority of volunteers are prepared, however, as they are full-time firemen with paid companies. One man in this category is Richard Yeagle of Lutherville, who is full-time paid fireman, part-time volunteer, and part-time florist assistant. Most volunteers come from a totally different field, and the Reverend Lewis Cole of Emmanuel Episcopal Church, Bel Air, is living proof of this fact. Some may be government workers, such as Willie Rodney Jr. of the Chapel Oaks Company, Prince George's County, who became interested in firefighting while a teenager. Most volunteers have to be trained, and fortunately, ample training for the firefighter is available at the University of Maryland at College Park. For 3 decades, in fact, the university's fire service extension courses have been training both paid firemen and volunteers who come here on weekends and at night to learn how to develop their skills. Joseph McDonough is one of the 6 senior instructors who regularly supervises this training.
The Fire Service Extension Department of the University of Maryland offers to the volunteer firemen and to the paid departments throughout the state a training course or several training courses for specific needs of the departments. Today, here at the training center at the university, we are conducting several classes for 3 different basic firemanship courses that are being held in Hampstead, Maryland, one in Sykesville, and one in Graysonville, which is on the eastern shore. What we have here is an old trailer of a flammable liquids nature that used to carry flammable liquids up and down the road, and we have it piped and arranged in such a manner that we fill the tank almost completely with water, and at the very top of this tank we float about maybe 100 gallons of contaminated fuel, regardless whether this might be gasoline or JP4 or a combination of those two or some other flammable liquids. We try to get the students to direct the streams in such a way that they become familiar with handling hose under a fire situation, which creates the emotional problem for them to handle, and also the physical end of it as far as walking in mud, slipping, sliding, a correct standing procedure, correct way to back up the nozzleman on his while he's directing the hose line. And we try to get each of the students through as a nozzleman so that he has a better understanding and also a better feeling for what the job is and how it has to be accomplished.
Okay, gentlemen, we'll have 1 30-pound unit, 1 man. You ready? Let's go in and put that fire out. Charge your unit. Check your nozzle. Make sure you got some powder. Okay, let's put the fire out. Okay, good job. Good job.
This particular class is a class from the Sykesville area, and it's being held in the Sykesville Volunteer Fire Department. They're down here today for fire extinguishers, and they're just finishing up now with the fire extinguisher class. Our class here for today spent about an hour and a half in classroom work in discussing different types of fire extinguishers, how they are charged, what the fire extinguishers are used on, what different kinds of fires they're used on. What we're trying to teach here is the actual use of the extinguisher and how they should put out the fires with them. Basic classes, which are taught in the field by our field instructors, go through a minimum of 9 hours of gas mask training. This is divided into 3 separate parts. One part, we expose the fireman to a smoky chamber, not a chamber really, it's a simulated apartment where we have gas shutoffs, electrical shutoffs, and so forth that he has to find and take care of and then come on out. After he finishes and completes this phase of his training, then he goes through what we call a maze. This maze is designed basically after the London Fire Brigade's maze that they have, and it affords the individual the ability to develop his sense of touch and feel again, so that if he does get in a tough situation within a fire building, why he does not necessarily have to panic if he can remember back to his training and keep a cool head while he's doing a pretty good job. This maze that we have is a series of corners, doors, windows, tunnels, and trap doors and things that the fireman has to go through in order to get to the end of the maze. After he's completed this, of course, then he's finished his 9 hours of gas mask training.
But the University of Maryland's Fire Service Extension courses are not restricted to College Park. In addition, a series of both basic and advanced courses are taught throughout the entire state. Many deal with specialized subjects such as rescue operations or removing a person trapped in a vehicle. Edwin Rayner, a volunteer fireman with the Riviera Beach Volunteer Fire Company, is one instructor who specializes in rescue techniques. This particular evening, Mr. Rayner happens to be assigned to his home organization, but as an instructor for the University Fire Service Extension program, he is required to hold similar classes throughout the state.
Okay, Georgie. Okay, fellas, tonight we're going to work on the vehicle. In case all doors are jammed, the only possible entrance is through the roof. Several methods. One of them is with the air chisel. Use it with a panel tool on the end. You can cut the roof off the car in approximately a minute and a half. On this side we have a Partner K12 saw. Turns up 6,000 RPMs. It's very light to handle. The only thing you have to be careful with this is sparks. And this is the only thing you have to be careful with. Put an asbestos blanket over your victim and then go ahead and use your saw along with a hose or a fire extinguisher. Chief, would you start it up? Watch your eyes. Just run a cut right across the top here. Just run a cut right across here. Remember all the way up.
The result of this training at both home station and College Park can be seen and evaluated only at the moment of crisis, when the ability to give instructions, carry out orders, and display courage are tested in the heat of the flames. For decades, Maryland's volunteers have demonstrated that they can pass the test.
Okay, inch and a half pre-connect. 2 men with masks on the front. Okay, we'll go in low, hit the roof. Okay, go in low, up in the roof. Whip it around at the ceiling. Okay, back out. Now we have a little more on the outside wall to your left. Go to straight stream. Okay, shut down. Check the exposures on the other side. Advise the officer fire's under control. Okay, let's...
Come home, Billy, won't you come home?
The life of a volunteer fire company does not begin and end with the men who operate its equipment. A volunteer fire company is also a social organization composed of women and children who also have a stake in the success of the company. This means that occasionally impromptu entertainment must be devised in order to raise funds, or extra work carried out to cut financial corners. When this happens, the volunteer company becomes a local cause in which all participate to reach seemingly impossible goals.
I know I was to blame. Well, ain't that a shame? Bill Bailey, won't you please come home?
The town of Level in Harford County is one community that attained such a goal. The town itself, which is little more than a crossroads and general store, is located on Route 155 near Havre de Grace. In 1956, the villagers decided to build their own fire engine in order to save money for the company. A local mechanic was enlisted to help, and he responded by supervising a project in which many citizens of Level participated and all benefited. After more than a decade, the homemade engine is still in service. Fundraising activity of one sort or another is virtually mandatory for all volunteer companies. Most, such as this unit at Butler in Baltimore County, treat the need as an opportunity to socialize and have a pleasant time with friends and neighbors. An oyster roast conducted by a volunteer fire company may begin early Sunday afternoon and continue until 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. During that interval, the several hundred diners may have an early meal, sit and chat for 3 or 4 hours, then return for a second repast. Despite such generosity, the volunteer company usually manages to clear about $1,000 for much-needed equipment. In many small towns, the volunteer fire company, along with the church, is the social center of community life. Hacks Point, Cecil County, is one example of how the Firehouse is much more than a garage or place of business. Once a month, nearly every citizen of Hacks Point attends the combined dinner and business meeting of the local fire company and Ladies Auxiliary. The get-together begins with a covered dish supper, which is eaten and served at wooden tables set up in the main floor of the fire hall. After the meal is completed, the men and women will finally separate, each discussing one aspect of how to improve the volunteer fire company. Usually, the ladies talk of fundraising.
About this? Well, we made real good on that Easter egg sale. Why can't we sell
As one
some
observes the inner life of a volunteer fire company, it becomes increasingly obvious that much of the hard work is an end in itself. The women, like their men, are dedicated to the organization and to each other. Cynicism and apathy are unknown qualities of lives that somehow would be empty without the need to work and cooperate and belong.
Around $200 or $300, but the problem is, how about your Weight Watchers? What are you going to do about them this time?
Well, the volunteer fire company has certainly filled a lot of time for me since I've been here in the Point. Many hours, and many times too when it has sort of been a lot of problems and a lot of trouble. And we've left this place, I know, in the evening so tired that you didn't think you were ever going to be able to move the next day. But there's always something funny that happens that you can kind of laugh about and remember. And to me, that is what makes a volunteer fire company so much a part of the little town that we are.
The volunteer fire companies, as far as I'm concerned, are one of the greatest things that any community ever had. Until we started our little fire company here, there were many people in the town that really didn't know one another until we got started with this. It brought us all together as one big family. And we've worked awfully hard. But that was never work, it was always play. Because our fun that we had in doing these things was the greatest thing anybody could ever have. When you're sick, no matter who it is, where it is, or when, all you do is dial your fire company and they're there. If you have trouble with your furnace, if you can't get out, they come and dig you out of the snow. They'll come and start your furnace for you. And if you get stuck, they'll even bring you oil. And to me, it is something that in any community, the community life that is built around a volunteer fire company is something that money cannot buy.